was, well, if he didn't play with Koivu, would he be better? And yeah, that's fair. But you know what a definition of a superstar is? If you put Mario Lemieux with freaking Rob Brown, he's still Mario Lemieux. If you put Sidney Crosby with anybody, he's still Sidney Crosby. If you put McDavid with anybody, look at the Edmonton Oilers. McDavid is the only thing they have. He's still Connor McDavid. Matthews with anybody. Alex Ovechkin is still going to be Alex Ovechkin. A superstar should not depend on who his center is or who his winger is, and that's the Wild do not have that player. They just don't. And that's something else, to get back to your question, that I think Paul Fenton has absolutely identified here, is that there's still not that. I remember one of my first Decembers were up in Edmonton. My first, you can fact check this. I don't think I'm wrong on this, but my first year covering the Wild, the league went into this experiment where they were going to have like series in cities where you go there for back-to-back home games, same team play there. And I remember the Wild go to Edmonton, and they were there right after Christmas, played 2 games in a row. The Wild were playing like, sorry, Brandon. They were playing like crap, and all of a sudden, Gabbert gets 2 breakaways in third period, and boom. Well, that's what they don't have. It's the guy that when the team stinks or when you need a goal desperately in the third period in Nashville, that they don't have that guy that could do it. Zucker could do it on occasion. He was unbelievable against Chicago, but he hasn't been anywhere since. And that's what this team is they don't have the guys that can consistently every single night get 3, 4, 5 points a night, which – I mean, look what Matthews has done already this season. Look what Matthews has done to Kapanen this season, Kasperi Kapanen. That's a superstar. Which, by the way, Kapanen is doing right now what William Nylander never did with Matthews. But anyway.
Vicky, you and Philip are the combined MVP of the podcast. You always get him going.
Mm-hmm.
I think Philip got the message. He even has a response to your anticipated reaction. He says...
Not that you're predictable.
I love this. A fair shot is fairly received.
Okay, good. Nice.
But LaPanta says not to worry about until Thanksgiving.
LaPanta.
See? That's exactly what he thought
you said. LaPanta the way was it Seinfeld?
We're at dinner at the Kane Steakhouse the other day, and I was trying not to, okay? And finally, we were doing so well. We're like halfway through the meal. We haven't talked about the Wild. And finally, I'm just like, so what do you think about this team? Well, they're a playoff team. Like, what? Well, why are they just a playoff team? Like, snap the fingers. He goes, well, like, who are they, not better than? I mean, like, he goes to me, he's like, they're better than Colorado. I'm like, what? Like, I mean, honestly. Like, are we going to start with that as your, like, they're better than Colorado? Like, come on, man. I mean, have you not watched Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen? Have you not watched Kerfoot? I mean, their second line is so much better than they were last year. Their blue line is so much better than they were.
Oh, we got the Russo sigh.
Now, here's his question.
Yeah. Wait, he hasn't asked the question?
I don't need to show up for these shows. I'm just going to have you
He's awesome,
ask Philip questions.
Several years ago, there was...
You should send some of this stuff to Philip.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll take a picture of it and see what he wants. Several years ago, there was consistent rumblings about the lack of physicality on the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Fletcher and Fenton, by trying to get a more physical lineup, swung the pendulum too far in that direction? All anyone seems to talk about this year is the lack of speed.
Well, I mean, first of all, I will say every GM reacts to what happens the year before, things like that. I remember 2007. Wild get the worst matchup they could possibly get. They were great. That still, I will say that 2007 team was as good at any Minnesota Wild team as I've covered. And they lost in 5 games to Anaheim. Why? Because Anaheim was this heavier team. Brad May knocked out Kim Janssen, Bugard, all that stuff. And what happens next year? They freaking get Todd Fedoruk and Chris Simon. They reacted to that, and then what happens? They play Colorado in the first round after winning the division, and they can't keep up with them because there you got these rugged guys on the team that are like, so every team, every guy, every like GM does that. But I do think that a lot of their slowness is the fact that they have just aged, but then you couple it with the fact that they've added these fourth liners. But I don't think they added the fourth liners just to get tougher and things like that. I just think that he didn't make a core. I think there's a lot of reasons why this team is looking slower. But I will say this. They started like this last year. I remember thinking how slow they looked the first 5-6 games of last year. Like, I do think bigger, heavier, older teams start out slower. And last year the Wild figured it out, and maybe LaPanta's right, and they're going to figure it out this year. We'll see. What is good is that I'm looking at some of these teams that I thought were going to be much better, and like Arizona's garbage. Now maybe they figure it out, but they stink right now. Now to their to be fair to them, I mean they don't have Galchenyuk right now, who is one of their big offseason moves. They don't have Christian Dvorak, who's a fantastic young center, and there's a reason why the Wild considered moving for him this summer. So they're not the team that I thought they'd be yet, but that's one team that I thought the Wild would have to look out for, and they looked awful to me last night. So anyway, come on, Brandon.
The look Vicky gave Brandon when the mic wasn't turned on, that was awesome.
Well, and
it's amazing Brandon didn't turn mic off.
Too. Yeah. Well, I was interested about your comment when we were talking earlier about Fenton maybe saving cap space to make a big move, because he's got to be a little nervous right now.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. I mean, part of me the other night, I was watching him walk out of the Bridgestone Arena. I was thinking he's like, I shouldn't say it. I was thinking like, there was a thought bubble over my head, it would have said, "Be careful what you wish for." That was kind of like this poor guy is leaving Bridgestone Arena to go with his Minnesota Wild on the bus when he could be the National. It's just, blah, blah, blah.
Be nice now.
But anyway.
Vicky, thank you.
I still think, Philip, I will. The Wild are better than the way they've played so far, and I think they'll get better. But, they've got to continue the momentum. Like, they can't just all of a sudden say, all right, they're playing 2 tough games this weekend at Dallas, which they usually lose, and home against Tampa, and that's usually, with tough travel, they're going to just fold up and die and wait till the following week when they play LA and Colorado at home. Like, now you gained something yesterday with Arizona. Go out now and continue the momentum and win some big games this weekend and show your fan base that you actually have a chance here. So
we're live at Delano's Pizza. Everybody's enjoying the pizza. I know Vicky had some kind of salad. Michael's eating a salad. They have beer. They have cocktails. They have lunch specials. They're open really late at night. Lots of big screen TVs. They have a jukebox. They have bubble hockey. It's a great place to hang out. And again, it's walking distance to both all the sports venues downtown Minneapolis, but also the music venues. So you can come here early before your event. You can come back late after the event. They've been great to us again. And they have a place in Woodbury as well, and they have a large delivery area. Thanks also.
Next one, November 1st here, 6 p.m.
Our next one tentatively is November 1st, 6 p.m. It's a Thursday night. That'll be our next show here. Follow us on social media for updates to that time. And also, thanks to Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent in Champlin. Sometimes Tony comes out to the live shows, too. It's Hoaglund, and we don't really have to vouch for him because Michael and I both get our insurance through him. So, know what we think of Tony.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoagland. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number 1 in car insurance since World War II and number 1 in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
All right, so, one thing I think we've all kind of noticed and talked about through 6 games this year is that the team definitely looks progressively slower. Thinking back to our off-season additions of Hendricks, Fair, Brown, they're not really the fastest type of guys. So why wasn't speed really addressed this off-season with this aging team?
Yeah,
good question.
It's a good question. I think Brown, they all thought he would be faster than he is, and hopefully he becomes a better player because right now, Boudreau wasn't a fan of his in training camp, and I can't imagine he is right now. But they're in a position where they really they have to use him, obviously, with Eriksson Ek hurt and Hendricks hurt. But Hendricks, that was both. Fenton was, it's funny. Hendricks, we all thought that was all a Bruce Boudreau decision. Fenton was his mentor in Nashville. Fenton drafted Hendricks. Fenton loved him. The first guy that he called in free agency, I understand, is Hendricks. So that was as much Fenton as Bruce. Fair is somebody that again, they didn't have enough money. They had to sign somebody for $1 million or less as fourth line center, and so Bruce had Fair, so they thought that would be a natural fit. I don't think he's as bad a skater though. But I think when you add all of it together, and the fact that guys like Nino is not skating well right now, that Koivu seems to have slowed. Remember, Stahl always seems to start out skating like this, and then he becomes really good. So I think again he's going to pick it up. But I think in hindsight, yeah, you wish you would. But also when you're getting cheap fourth line guys, and that's all you can afford, there's a reason why they're free agents at that point. So hopefully that answers your question, but I don't think they realized that they were going to look like this right off the hop, this slow. There are guys who just aren't skating well right now, regardless, in addition to those fourth liners you mentioned. Again, guys that have been better skaters are just not skating well right now.
By the way,
nobody's taking all these giveaways. I was so proud of bringing this stuff.
Yeah, it's like a gold mine. It's like an actual, literal gold mine. But the thing I was trying to spit out before was, you say LaPanta the way Seinfeld said Newman.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yes.
Yep, Newman. You should take that VHS slap shot there, Colin.
Yeah, because I'm sure you have a VHS player at home. You can drive your Pacer back home and watch your VSH tapes.
What's up?
Yes, sir.
Long-time listener, first time here.
Thank you. Thanks,
Jerry, right?
Yep.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I gave him an athletic phone wallet.
What more do you want out of life?
Yeah.
So the question that you brought up earlier, about the superstars here at the NHL, like, for example, McDonald, McDavid, Matthews, heck, even Kane, Taves, those are not guys that you wait for free agency here. Those are guys that you draft within the top 5.
Right.
And given, when the Wild made that, that miracle run here in 03-04, that's kind of the hard thing here to follow here. It's almost like you want to make the playoffs every year.
Yeah.
But then you miss out the opportunity to draft high. So, right now they're talking about is just Jack Hughes. Mm-hmm. So what point do you think at this point here that fans should think about?
Tanking?
I won't say the word tanking, but you also have to think about the year 2020 when Seattle comes in town. Is it going to be the same process here?
It is. I'm not laughing at your question. I'm laughing because of just this memory of when Jim and I started this podcast. I had this flashback of us sitting in the press box doing a podcast at XL Energy Center talking about how they should tank for McDavid.
Yes.
And Jim and I have been on kind of that run forever. Tank. I will say this. Look, there are certain game breakers in every draft that are special and unbelievable and are, I don't want to say worth tanking for, but are like that. But you can pick where the Wild pick every year and draft better. And, that's just a fact. It's like, it's easy to say that that you lose the quality in draft picks at this stage. But every year there's guys, the Wild took Alex Tuch over David Pasternak. They took Brock Besser, or they took Eriksson Ek over Brock Besser. Although, as I was talking to one broadcaster yesterday, every team in the league probably would. And that's the truth. I'm not trying to make an excuse for the Wild. And everybody that listens to this show knows that I've harped on this ever, that they should have taken Besser. But, he pointed out to me that every team in the league would have taken Eriksson Ek over Besser. Zach Phillips, 2 picks later, Ricard Raquel. It's just on and on and on and on. So you can draft better, too. So you don't have to tank to – remember, also, every non-playoff team technically has a chance to get the number 1 pick. So that would be an unbelievable, awful experience for the fans to endure, a tank to get to finish 31st, and then you lose the lottery and pick 4th or something, So
Ottawa's actually doing pretty well here. People were expecting them to be pretty awful at this time.
Yeah, the Wild?
No, the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah. Yeah, they still will be.
So the second question is, do you foresee any moves here in preparation for the 2020 when Seattle comes in?
Well, I mean, like, again, it's the thought of even having to deal with these questions again on who they protect, who they don't. I will say Mikko gave him a really good gift by making sure that his